Well, folks, we had what they call here in PA an onion snow last night. Overall, it was probably 5 inches, and it's about 4 p.m.-ish now, so most of it has melted off. It's heavy and wet, but it looked pretty this morning. Little runoff creek. But yeah, onion snow. Dog chewing on his bone. Is that a good bone, Kato? Huh, buddy, is that a good bone? I guess it is.
Hey guys, I have this rack of ribs that I want to smoke, and I want this to come out really good, so I feel that I need more temperature control with the Dyna-Glo Smoker. So I'm going to make 2 modifications and give it a try. The first one is, I hope you can see this because the way the camera is situated, I can't tell. But I bought this wood stove gasket kit, 3/8 diameter gasket, and I'm going to put that on the door. That's going to be one of the mods. This is made by Imperial, and it comes with the fiberglass rope and the adhesive. You're going to need roughly 42 inches of the rope and obviously the adhesive. I'm not going to put it over the painted surface of the door. I'm going to use a wire brush and I'm going to clean that up the best I can. I might get some sandpaper involved. Now I'm going to tell you that I've already pre-fit this dry, and the door is extremely difficult to close after you put this on. This latch, however, is not technically adjustable, but we're going to make it adjustable if necessary. So this is going to seal the door really well, and I'm not going to have to worry about any air leaks there. And to be able to adjust your airflow is obviously the key to keeping a pretty consistent temperature. So I'm going to clean this up, and I'm going to get this gasket glued on, and we'll be back. Okay, so I brushed that down around the lip of the door, and I actually did sand it, but the paint that's on here from the factory is actually pretty good, and I don't have a mechanical or air sander handy anyway, so I'm going to try it this way and see what happens. So we're going to get this gasket glued on here, and my intent is to glue on the back side of the face of the door and also put some glue on this lip. I'm going to wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol to give the glue the best chance of adhering, and we'll see how this goes. So once I get this glued on, we'll be back. Okay, there is the gasket on, glued in place, and even though I measured around the door and it came out to like 42 inches, the stuff, the gasket material that is, I cut it at 42 inches, but it was an inch too short, so I recommend if you're doing this, cut it at 43 inches. See the little piece I had to put in here. Now if you have one of these, you'll know that there's a 90-degree right here where this lip is, all the way around. And I filled that 90°. The bottom was a little tough, but I filled the 90° with glue, and I put it out about ½ an inch away from the 90. So now that that's in place, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bead of glue all along here, and we're going to let it flow down inside. And it's going to be a little tough on the bottom, I know, but we're going to do the best we can, because I really want this to set up and work well. And it says to wipe off the excess glue and blah blah blah. Now this is going to be the tough one. I'm probably going to waste a lot. And obviously it's not going to run up into that seam. So what I'm going to do is take an old rag, roll it around my finger, and I'm going to use that to push it into the seam. Actually, I'm going to do that all the way around. And hopefully that'll be good enough to let this set up well. And you see it's shrinking as the glue is drying. So I had to cut this little 1-inch piece to fill that gap. But it is what it is. And this is going to be a ton better than nothing at all. And as I said, being able to control your heat is the key to making the food come out the way you want. Now I'm going to follow the instructions, which is something I usually don't do. And it says once you have it in place to close the door and let it set for 12 hours. Then it says to low heat, make a fire and let it finish curing. So we're going to close this door. And now that wasn't as bad as I thought. So hopefully none of the glue spreads to the other side and wants it to stick there as well. But I did clean up the door. I did use a little sandpaper, a wire brush, cleaned it with rubbing alcohol to get rid of, you know, any of the dust and oils or anything that might be there, grease. So that's going to make an awesome seal. So we're going to let it set for 12 hours. And it'll be tomorrow because it's, geez, it's 7 o'clock already, my time, p.m. So we're going to move on to the second mod, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, the next part of this mod is to remove your air slide. This goes on the inside, of course, and it's elongated so that the 4 screws that attach it allow it to slide to cover up the air holes. This is pretty loose and not very well fitting, so ideally if I had a piece of stainless steel around, I would replicate this shape and these elongations and probably put just 1 hole in it, but I don't have any scrap metal lying around. So I'm going to modify this piece, and I know y'all are probably saying you're butchering up a design, blah blah blah, but I'm pretty confident this is going to be beneficial. So hang in there for a second, let me get set up. Okay, so I'm going to use a pair of snips, and I'm going to cut off these 2 tangs which are already bent over. I thought I could get them out of the way, but I'm going to feel better if they aren't there. There's one. And there's a second one. Now, these are obviously punch pressed because there's a lip around the inside. So what I'm going to do is use a trusty old framing hammer, and I'm going to work these lips back over to close up these holes as small as I can. And this isn't going to be pretty, but functionality is all I'm looking for. So that makes that, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch wider around here, and I'm going to do all of them the same way. So I found that my framing hammer is not the way to go. This one has a knurled face on it, and that wasn't very helpful. So I grabbed an old lineman's hammer that I have lying around with a nice smooth face, and I flattened out that ridge around each hole. Now the key to this is going to be that this is as level as possible so that it seals well against the firebox. So once you have these all flattened out, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to gently go around each one of these ovals to get it back to smooth, flush, flat. I used to shoot horses, and I had a great anvil, and I would have been able to do a better job if I had my anvil. But I understand not everybody has metalworking tools, so we're just going to do the best that we can with what we've got. And again, as I said, I want this as smooth as possible before we put it back in. So that's pretty darn straight, except for you. Okay, so you can see around each oval we close that in 1/8 or so, and we're going to put that back in using the screws that came from the factory. And for the adjustment, we're going to add a screw and a nut here so that we can slide it back and forth. So let me get this reinstalled, and then we'll move on. Okay, so I got that bead up, put back on, and I can't even believe it. In that little bit of time in this spot, I lost the screw. So I had to get a different screw, and I used stainless. But I don't understand. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill a hole through here, right in the middle. And the reason I chose this slot is so that it doesn't bind going either direction. You know, if you put it here, you're going to be pulling down on it. You put it here, you're going to be pulling back on it. So I'm going to blow a hole through the middle here so that I can put a nut and a bolt on that and use it as a handle. So let me get that put together, and I'll show you what I mean. So I've got an 832 stainless bolt here, and apparently, geez, it's been a long day. It's 7:45 right now, so sorry about the goofiness. But the only nuts that I have to fit an 832 are lock nuts. So we're going to blow that through just enough to go through here and put the nut on the other side. And yeah, this is probably going to be, and I have to open the door. I know it's been nowhere near 12 hours, but my options are limited right now. So we're going to put the bolt with the nut on it through here and thread it into another nut. And this particular nut should be an 11/32 socket size. And I'm sure I'll never find one because everything I have here is mostly metric, thanks to, I'm not going to be rude. Alright, so we're going to do the old-fashioned way. We're going to grab that with a pair of pliers. The fits-all, as they call it. And it's dark in there, so we're going to need some light. Okay, we have that. And for time-saving purposes, and I do it when I'm not looking to save time, we're going to use a screw gun. And I'm going to try that's not tightening, but I know it will. Okay. Now, I'm certain with all these holes I will have adequate airflow if I need it. And now I can pretty much close them all the way to limit the airflow as much as possible. And that was the goal of this particular mod. So what I recommend is tightening down all 4 screws as tight as you can get them, but still be able to slide this. And I know that doesn't look like a lot, but multiply that by 4, this area by 4, and you've got practically a whole slot open. And for most cooking, you're not going to want it to be 3 million degrees in there. You don't need to melt gold or copper or iron. So these are the 2 mods, as I said, that I'm doing, and I'm going to let this dry overnight. And tomorrow, I'll start a small fire. I can actually do it at 7 a.m. Thankfully, I don't have any neighbors nearby that are going to report me for a fire hazard. But, yeah, tomorrow morning, I'm going to make a small fire in here just to finish seating the gasket glue. And I'll make another video on the progress after that. But anyway, these are the 2 mods that I wanted to show you guys, and for the price of this unit, I really don't feel guilty about chopping it up and doing my own thing with it. And I actually may do, you know, honestly, I was out today, and because of the situation of the world, I don't go out much, so I had on my mask and my all that. But I wanted to get some fireplace cement, and I wanted to go around all the seams in the firebox. But where I was, just, they didn't have it. I didn't expect them to have it. So we're going to try this tomorrow the way it is and see what kind of temperature we can maintain. And I will, I'll keep you guys posted on how this modification for the Dyna-Glo goes. You guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.